Welcome to Spot Podcast, the voice of scientists, where groundbreaking research meets your ears. We bring you the world's top-cited research articles in an engaging podcast format, making cutting-edge science accessible anytime, anywhere. Stay informed, stay inspired. This is the Spot Podcast, the voice of scientists.
Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into something super interesting today, the link between your immune system and aging.
Yeah, it's a hot topic right now. People used to think aging just, happened.
Right, like it was inevitable.
But now scientists are finding out we might actually be able to influence it by targeting the immune system. Pretty crazy, huh?
Totally. So we're basing this deep dive on an article from Nature, How the Immune System Holds the Key to Aging. Sounds promising.
It really does.
Okay, so the aging immune system, what exactly is going on there? Does it just get weaker over time? Like, is that all?
Well, it's actually a lot more complicated than that. Yeah, some parts of your immune response do decline as we get older, but there are some pretty big changes happening too under the surface, so to speak.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Like, what kind of changes?
Well, for instance, your thymus, the organ that basically trains your T cells.
Yeah, vaguely.
Well, that starts shrinking after puberty.
No way. I thought that was like an adult thing.
Nope. And by the time we hit our 30, a lot of it's turned into fat, which means way fewer T cells are being produced.
So we're basically losing our immune system boot camp, like super early on.
Kind of. And to make matters worse, the T cells that are being made, well, they're not as specialized anymore. They can't really recognize and target specific threats as effectively.
So it's a double whammy. Oh, and the article mentioned something called inflammaging. What is that exactly?
Oh, that's a good one. Basically, it's this chronic low-grade inflammation that seems to ramp up as we age. It's like a slow burn throughout your body, and it's linked to a bunch of age-related diseases.
Yikes. And this inflammation is connected to the immune system.
Big time. You remember those senescent cells we've talked about before?
The zombie cells, yeah.
Right, those guys, well, they build up as we age, and they pump out inflammatory signals that contribute to this whole inflammaging thing.
So instead of cleaning up the mess, these senescent immune cells are actually adding to it.
Exactly. And there's this great quote in the article from immunologist Arner Akbar. He says, "It becomes a terrible positive feedback, a never-ending dance of destruction." Pretty vivid, right?
Yeah, it paints a pretty bleak picture. But here's a question that's been on my mind. Is this decline in the immune system, is it just a side effect of getting older, or could it actually be causing the aging process?
That is the million-dollar question, and it's where things get really, really interesting. The article talks about this research by Laura Niedernhofer, where she actually genetically engineered mice to have immune cells that were prone to senescence.
Okay, and what happened?
Well, those mice started showing signs of premature aging in other organs, and it wasn't just their immune systems that were messed up. Their entire bodies seemed to be aging faster.
Wow, so these messed up immune cells were making other parts of the body age more quickly.
It seems that way, but get this. When they took young, healthy immune cells and transplanted them into these mice, it actually reversed a lot of those aging effects.
Wait, hold on. Are you saying a younger immune system could potentially make an older body younger? Like, is that what you're suggesting?
That's what the research is pointing to. It suggests that the immune system isn't just passively declining, it's actively driving the aging process in the rest of the body.
Whoa. So if that's true, could rejuvenating the immune system slow down aging or even reverse it? I mean, is that even possible?
Well, that's what scientists are trying to figure out. And the article highlights a bunch of promising strategies they're working on right now.
I'm all ears. What are they? Tell me everything.
Well, one thing they're looking at is targeting those senescent cells we were talking about. There are already some drugs out there, dasatinib and quercetin, that are being studied in clinical trials. The idea is to see if they can eliminate or at least block these cells.
Okay, get rid of the bad guys. Makes sense. What else are they doing?
Another approach is to target the inflammation itself. The article talks about some research by Army Akbar with a drug called losmapimod. It basically blocks inflammation, and it showed some really promising results in boosting immune responses in older adults.
Interesting. Anything else?
Another area of research is focusing on just directly boosting the immune system. Joan Manick has been running these clinical trials using low doses of rapamycin analogs.
Wait, rapamycin, isn't that an immunosuppressant?
Yeah. It is.
So using an immunosuppressant to boost the immune system, how does that even work?
I know, right? It seems counterintuitive, but at these low doses, it seems to kind of rebalance the immune system and improve its overall function in older people. Even the response to vaccines got better.
So it's more like fine-tuning the system rather than just like turning it on full blast.
Exactly. And then you've got research focused on trying to restore the thymus. The thinking is if we can get that thymus back to working order, it could really help rejuvenate the whole immune system.
But can you even bring back the thymus? Is that even possible?
Well, some researchers think it is. Jared Dudikov is doing some really cool work looking at how thymus cells regenerate. He's hoping to figure out ways to stimulate that process. And then there's Greg Fahey. He's been running trials using growth hormone to regenerate thymus tissue.
Hold up, growth hormone? Like what bodybuilders use?
Yep, that's the one. But again, it's all about the dosage and how you use it. In phase trials, some participants actually saw reversals in something called the epigenetic clock.
The epigenetic clock, what's that?
It's like a measure of biological age. Based on changes to our DNA, the fact that it seemed to reverse for some people suggests they were actually becoming biologically younger.
Okay, that's wild. So we've got getting rid of those pesky senescent cells, targeting inflammation, boosting the immune system, even bringing the thymus back to life. Anything else on the horizon? What else are these brilliant scientists cooking up?
There are a couple more exciting areas, actually. One is reprogramming immune cells. It's kind of like taking old cells and turning back the clock, resetting their epigenetic changes.
So like a cellular fountain of youth.
Kind of. Vittorio Sebastiano is one of the big names in this field, and his company is focusing on using this technique to improve CAR T-cell therapy for cancer patients.
Amazing. And the final strategy, what's the last one they're investigating?
Okay, so this one goes back to those HS cells we briefly mentioned earlier. They're like the masterminds in your bone marrow, producing all the different types of immune cells.
Right, right.
Well, as we age, those HS cells change, and it leads to an imbalance in immune cell production.
And that imbalance is contributing to the aging process?
You got it. But here's the thing. Carolina Florian, she's a stem cell researcher, and she may have found a way to address this. She developed this drug called Kessin that seems to correct this age-related change in HS cells.
So Kessin basically resets those HS cells back to a younger state.
That's the idea. And when they tested it in mice, they not only lived longer, but they also stayed healthier way into old age.
That's incredible. But hold on, if this is all about the immune system, how are these changes actually affecting other organs and tissues?
Well, that's what's so amazing about Florian's research. They found that even transplanting HF cells from old mice treated with Kessin into other old, untreated mice had similar life-extending effects.
So a rejuvenated immune system was spreading its benefits throughout the body.
It really seems that way. And here's the kicker. A short treatment had these long-lasting effects.
Wow, that's amazing. So you wouldn't have to be on this drug forever to see the benefits.
That's what they found. But with all this potential, I'm sure there are some challenges, some roadblocks, with this research.
Right, of course. What are they? What kind of hurdles are these researchers up against?
Well, one of the biggest ones is the lack of good biomarkers for aging. Basically, we need a better way to measure biological age, not just how many years have passed.
So we need to look beyond birthdays to understand how old our bodies really are.
Exactly. And there's a big push right now to come up with some kind of consensus on what these biomarkers should be. It's crucial for comparing results across different studies and getting these therapies approved.
Makes sense. Anything else?
Another hurdle is just the sheer complexity of the immune system, right? We've learned a ton, but there's still so much we don't know.
It's like exploring a giant, uncharted territory.
Exactly. And there are so many different types of cells, each with its own job. We need to figure out all these intricate details if we want to develop truly targeted and effective treatments.
So a one-size-fits-all approach isn't going to work. Got it.
Nope. And then there's the practical stuff, making sure these new treatments are safe in the long term, making them affordable, accessible to everyone.
Right, making sure they actually get to the people who need them.
Exactly. But despite all that, this field is moving forward so quickly. It's really incredible. Every new discovery gets us closer to really understanding how aging works and developing new treatments that could totally change the future of human health.
I totally agree. It feels like we're on the brink of something huge, something that could really change how we think about aging. This has been fascinating, but let's take a quick break here and come back to talk about what this all means for you, the listener. What are the practical implications of this research? What can we expect to see in the coming years? Stay tuned.
So we've just been talking about all this crazy research into how our immune systems age and how we might be able to turn back the clock. But I bet some of you are thinking, okay, but what does this actually mean for me? Are we going to have a real-life fountain of youth anytime soon?
Well, I hate to break it to you, but immortality isn't quite on the menu yet.
Okay, but what about some more, practical applications? Anything we might see in the next few years?
Oh, absolutely. Think about vaccines, for example. We know they don't work as well in older adults.
Right.
And that's partly because of those age-related immune changes we were just talking about.
So even if older people get vaccinated, they're still more likely to get sick. Yeah, unfortunately. But now imagine if we could use some of these immune rejuvenation strategies to make vaccines work better in older folks. That would be a game changer, especially for protecting them from things like the flu or, even another COVID-19.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And it wouldn't just help older people, it would benefit everyone, right?
Exactly. Less disease spread overall. And it's not just about infectious diseases either. Remember that chronic inflammation we were discussing, that inflammaging thing?
Yeah.
Well, that plays a huge role in all kinds of chronic conditions like cancer, heart disease, Alzheimer's, all these things that become more common as we age.
So if we could target that inflammation by, rejuvenating the immune system, could we potentially prevent or even treat these diseases more effectively?
That's the hope. We're not there yet, but the possibilities are pretty mind-blowing, right? Imagine a world where we don't just live longer, but we also live healthier, more active lives, even when we're older.
It's a pretty amazing thought. But let's be realistic for a minute. Science doesn't always move in a straight line. What are some of the potential roadblocks or challenges that researchers might face in this field?
Well, one of the biggest ones, and we touched on this before, is the need for better biomarkers of aging. We need a more accurate way to measure biological age, not just chronological age, if that makes sense.
So we need to go beyond counting birthdays to figure out how old our bodies really are, right? Like at the cellular level.
Exactly. We need to identify and standardize these biomarkers so that researchers all over the world are speaking the same language. That way they can compare results from different studies and, actually prove that these new therapies are working.
Okay, so it's not just about finding the fountain of youth. It's about proving that it actually works.
Right. Another challenge is, well, just the sheer complexity of the immune system. We've made some huge leaps in understanding how it all works, but we still have a lot to learn.
It's like we've explored the coast of a giant continent but haven't ventured inland yet.
I love that analogy. And within this complex system, you have all these different types of cells, each with its own specific function. So we need to untangle all that, figure out how all the pieces fit together if we want to develop truly effective and targeted treatments.
So a one-size-fits-all approach isn't going to cut it.
Nope, not at all. And of course, you have the practical considerations too, making sure these new therapies are safe to use long term, making sure they're affordable and accessible to everyone.
Right, because what good is a cure if no one can afford it?
Exactly. But even with all these challenges, the progress in this field has been incredible. Like every day there's something new. And every new discovery gets us a little bit closer to understanding how aging works and how we might be able to slow it down or even reverse it.
It really does feel like we're on the cusp of something truly revolutionary in medicine.
I agree. It's a very exciting time.
And as that Nature article pointed out, there's just enormous potential for translating all this research into actual treatments and therapies that can help people live longer, healthier lives.
Absolutely. So we may not have that elixir of youth just yet,
Right.
but the future definitely looks bright.
It does. So the message is don't give up hope, but also be patient because these scientific breakthroughs, they take time.
Exactly. But in the meantime, while we wait for these big discoveries to make their way into clinics, is there anything people can do right now to, I don't know, to support their immune system? Are there things we can do to potentially slow down the aging process?
Okay, now you're talking. Give us the actionable advice. What can our listeners do today to, boost their immune health?
Well, first and foremost, focus on the basics. A healthy diet, regular exercise, getting enough sleep, managing stress, all that good stuff.
Yeah, it's the stuff our moms have been telling us forever.
Exactly, because those lifestyle factors have a huge impact on your immune system and your overall health.
So it's not about finding some magic pill. It's about making those healthy choices every single day.
Right. And beyond that, make sure you're up to date on your vaccinations. Maybe talk to your doctor about things like vitamin D and zinc supplements. They can help support your immune system. And you might even consider trying some mind-body practices like meditation or yoga. They can help reduce stress and inflammation.
So it's really about taking a holistic approach, addressing both our physical and mental health.
Absolutely. And remember, your immune system is constantly interacting with everything around you, from the food you eat to the air you breathe to the thoughts you think. It all plays a role.
Wow, that's a powerful thought. It really means we have a lot more control over our health and how we age than we might think.
I agree. So while we wait for all these amazing scientific discoveries to reach us, we can still take steps to help ourselves, We can make choices that support healthy aging.
Love it. And that brings us to the last part of our deep dive. We've talked about the science, the potential applications, even given you some practical tips.
We have.
But before we wrap things up, I want to turn it back over to you, the listener. So that Nature article we've been talking about, it ends on this really interesting note.
Yeah. It says, don't expect an elixir of youth anytime soon, but there is such great potential for translation.
And what they mean by translation is taking all this research, all these amazing findings, and actually turning them into real-world solutions that can help people.
Right.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to throw the question back to you, the listener.
What do you think?
What implications could this research have in the next few years? What excites you the most about the future of, all this immune aging research?
Yeah, what are your hopes?
We've talked about so much, making vaccines more effective, fighting those chronic diseases, even the possibility of reversing aging itself. It's pretty wild.
It is.
But what are your hopes and dreams for this field? Like, what kind of future do you envision?
That's a good question.
Imagine a world where we can all live longer, healthier, more fulfilling lives, even into our 80s, 90s, maybe even beyond,
Imagine a world without all those age-related diseases we've been talking about.
where we can stay sharp, mentally and physically, for way longer than we ever thought possible.
And keep learning and growing and contributing to the world no matter how old we are.
I think that's a future we can all get behind.
I think so too.
And even though we're not quite there yet,
Not quite.
the research we've talked about today, it shows that we're definitely moving in the right direction.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We hope this deep dive has, sparked your curiosity and maybe given you a little glimpse of what might be possible.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing stuff.
This is just the beginning of what we think is going to be a totally transformative era in human health.
It really is.
So stay curious, everyone. Stay informed.
And stay engaged.
We're all on this incredible journey of scientific discovery together.
That's right.
Who knows what amazing breakthroughs are waiting for us just around the corner.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Until next time, keep exploring.
Stay curious, keep exploring, and join us next time for more groundbreaking research brought straight to your ears. Don't forget to subscribe and share, because science is meant to be heard. Stay curious, keep exploring, and join us next time for more groundbreaking research brought straight to your ears. Don't forget to subscribe and share, because science is meant to be heard.